But like, start talking about these other blockchains, and you find out that their knowledge stopped, right around 2000, 2014, and they don't know anything beyond that. They don't even know who David Schwartz is, and it's like, this is the place I want to be, because literally you can't know any more than us, and that's a fact.
That is a fact.
No, 100%. You know what's really crazy is my first meme coin I thought was like or any crypto I thought was like Bitcoin or ETH, but it is actually XRP, because I bought XRP like way before I bought anything else, and I staked it with these guys from England. Do you remember how we had these staking things? You would go on there and you stake with a bunch of people you meet, and I don't even remember what it was called. It was a site. Nobody's using that anymore. And so I actually bought XRP was my first purchase of any kind of crypto.
Hell yeah. Love that. So NFA.
Yeah, I was going to ask as well. Which question you have for NFA, bro?
I'll stay for this.
I will say one thing that's funny is I was talking to Oscar maybe like a week ago, and I was like, yeah, man, are you going down to Swell this year? And he's like, I'm not sure. I was like, it's on Teddy Roosevelt's birthday. And he's like, what? And the next thing I know, I think he texted me 2 hours later. He booked his flight. He was all ready to go. So it's just another. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you,
that was your fault.
The Teddy Roosevelt rabbit hole is absolutely insane. So I'll just give you a quick. One of my favorite videos or discoveries I've had around this was, I have this subscription to newspapers.com, and I like going back in time sometimes and just seeing like market patterns from back in the day and things like that, where, today, like Google and the gatekeepers are so good at sort of putting certain articles in front of you, kind of burying others. Well, newspapers.com does not do that. It's just all there. And I was looking into like, the old, just old Teddy Roosevelt, sort of trying to find things around his original bear cartoon. So Teddy Roosevelt gave basically in 1902, he like refused to shoot a bear. And this made it into international news. And it was a double meaning cartoon. And so Teddy Roosevelt was one of the first to use political cartoons as like double meaning. And this wasn't a secret. He outright did this. So it's the first it's a credible example of him riddling. And so I was like, man, I wonder if I could find more glaring examples of this. And so if you think about where we are today, where you have Bearable Guy, which is BG, and it's this cartoon bear, and he's riddling about the future of finance, I was absolutely mind blown when I found that there were two bear cartoons named Teddy B and Teddy G. BG, based on Teddy Roosevelt, who riddled about the future of finance, which was the Federal Reserve at that time. So you had these two cartoon bears taking children on adventures to all the cities, or the majority of the cities that the Federal Reserve would open all their banks in. So the Fed would go on to open 12 regional banks. And you had Teddy B and Teddy G, BG, foreshadowing this. And what's even crazier about this is the Fed would then go on to open those banks on the same day, on the same date that Teddy Roosevelt bear cartoon debuted, November 16th. And you keep going and you realize that's David Schwartz's birthday. So it's like this absolutely insane, full circle of I don't know whether it be high society or this higher class of secretive financiers who are sort of getting a kick out of this and with a bear as their symbol for many reasons. One being Ursa Major. But the more you go down it, the more these symbols you assume are tied to this whole thing tie back to Teddy. For example, I just mentioned Ursa Major, which is the Great Bear constellation. The White House created a book called Teddy Roosevelt and the Treasure of Ursa Major, where Teddy Roosevelt's kids are on an adventure in the White House and they have to solve a bunch of riddles. And it ends up being that the treasure is Ursa Major. And the last page is just Teddy pointing at the bear. And I'm like, well, that's crazy. And you keep going, and related at the end of this, but there was an old riddler called Ripple Riddler. And he had this post where it was a bunch of housetops, the tops of a skyline. and one of the houses had a ship on it. And I was like, man, I recognize that ship. Like, where have I seen that? And it was from the Royal Observatory. So I go down this whole Royal Observatory rabbit hole and come to find that the Royal Observatories, by the way, David Schwartz wears the Royal Observatory merch like all the time. It's like one of his like fashion statements, I guess you could say. But
well, and he's also a teddy bear too, you know. So how does that make any sense?
We'll get to that in 1 second. But so the Royal Observatory's mascot is a teddy bear named Ted. And Ted, which is obviously another Ursa Major Teddy Roosevelt lean, Ted's computer's name is Ursa. And so you keep getting this constant sequence of November 16, teddy bears, Teddy Roosevelt, like Ursa Major, like even the recent rocket, Artemis 1, which came before this recent launch, launched on David Schwartz's birthday, that same day, November 16th. And their computer's name was Callisto, which is the name for the Great Bear constellation in Greek mythology and Roman mythology. So it's just this overwhelming theme of like astrology, Teddy Roosevelt, Ursa Major, riddles, and like even NASA. So NASA riddles in plain sight. They wrote that they do this. They hide messages in their work, admittedly, and they hid, you know, Bearable Guy's favorite word is perseverance. He writes it on everything. They hid a Teddy Roosevelt quote on the Perseverance rover. This is NASA doing this. And you find like, you know, ex-NASA employees work at Ripple. So it's like this, man, it's like this generational, like just layered communication, and they're trying to tell us something. And, you know, obviously I just get a huge kick out of it. And so the more you follow this Teddy Roosevelt thing, it just becomes so wild knowing all this when you see, you know, Bearable Guy is hiding Teddy Roosevelt's specific rug from Teddy's presidential inauguration in Bearable Guy's riddles. It's the exact rug. And you see that he's putting his characters in the same positions and postures as the original Teddy Roosevelt bear cartoon. And then you start seeing things like Ripple is hosting Swell on Teddy Roosevelt's birthday in real time. And you see Brad Garlinghouse, you know, as a Kansas alum, and you see him constantly using the rock chalk chant. Well, this blew my mind. Teddy Roosevelt is engraved on the rock chalk chant memorial at KU because Teddy Roosevelt's the one who immortalized it. Teddy Roosevelt said the rock chalk Jayhawk chant is the greatest college chant ever devised, and that is engraved at KU. And not only that, which it's just crazy that this keeps going, but you have KU becoming the first school to feature a crypto logo on their jerseys, which is the XRP logo. So you could say that, you know, XRP took over the Kansas school. Well, that's exactly what Teddy B and Teddy G did in 1907 in one of their episodes. They take over the Kansas school. And, you know, and those bears, by the way, were based on Teddy Roosevelt. So you just have this really weird sync of all these symbols that, you know, I'm only talking about 5 or 6 different symbols, and they're so tight on this same line having to do with evolutions in finance. And man, like, it's really clear to me that there's something to this Teddy Roosevelt thing. The last thing I'll say is this. The commercial they used for the KU XRP jersey, so they did that. It was epic. You know, they show the XRP logo on all the jerseys. And the song they used was X Gon' Give It To You by DMX, which, you know, very appropriate song. Well, the Rough Riders that Teddy Roosevelt, that was like his like unit. They were called the Rough Riders. Their logo was a big X made out of swords. But what's so weird about that is DMX's label was called the Rough Riders. So you have DMX, the Rough Riders, promoting XRP with all these Teddy Roosevelt syncs back to KU, and it's just impossible to me. So yeah, thanks for listening to all that.
So is that all you got, bro?
Hold on, are you telling me Teddy Roosevelt liked memes?
Bro, I think Teddy Roosevelt might have made some of the first memes.
Because I'll tell you, a lot of people may not get this, but I actually paid attention to that. I might actually take a subscription to that because that's really interesting, going back that far and being able to pull out that kind of information.
Bro, it's fascinating. He was out here like, he was one of the presidents known for enjoying cryptographic language. He would write his own coded messages. Like, he's featured in I'm not exactly sure what the title is, but like the main cryptography book from the NSA has this whole thing on Teddy and his messages and, how it took the head of the current NSA like 2 hours to crack them and things like that. But this isn't a guess. Like Teddy Roosevelt was using political cartoonists to create double meaning so that the public would get one message, but there would be, a deeper underlying one.
Come on.
And, you look at some of these old cartoons and it'll blow your mind. Like you said, I mean, not only did he enjoy memes, but he was, his favorite political cartoonist who did the teddy bear cartoon, his name was Clifford Berryman. So he's just like a really, it's like a fake name. He's just like a berry man hiding bears in all his cartoons. It's ridiculous. So, yeah.
No, that's actually very cool. That's very, so I don't know if it makes him smart or it makes Oscar smart for figuring this out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to figure out who's the smart one here.
I'm giving it to Fuzzy, bro. Fuzzy had that first deal, so I mean, he's the one that started it all, right? Come on now.
Yeah. Let me say, I'm not smart at all. I'm not smart at all. So yeah, I will say like Raptor. Let's give it to Fuzzy.
Gotta be, dude. Fuzzy started all that Teddy stuff. No, but it's just amazing. Like, would any of us really have studied any of this stuff without, Ripple and XRP and the new financial system and maybe David Schwartz going back to patenting the idea so long ago? I don't think so. I mean, we'd still be the things. I mean, we've been set free. I mean, to a certain extent, and we don't even really know what that is. But we're multiplying our XRP.
The amount of information
with a lot.
Dude, the amount of information we have in our head is insane.
Too much.
I don't know how much of it is useful, but the amount of information I think I've picked up since 21 on memes, I really didn't even know what a meme was. Like, I had to look it up in 22. Like, I knew something, but when you really, like, break it down, like, not many people really knew what it was, but when you start digging deep into it and you start listening to Elon, I don't know if you guys remember that tweet when Elon said, hey, I live on Meme Street, and everything's a meme, and he's been talking about it. And it seems like every smart person, including a president we just talked about, and probably one of the only few presidents anybody knows who he is. Because if you get down like the president road, name presidents, I mean, you'll probably be named 4 or 5. I guarantee you, most people, everybody knows Teddy Roosevelt, and there's a reason for that. But I got to tell you, these memes and the lores and everything else has become super important, more important than I ever anticipated it would be.
Yeah, and Fuzzy getting jailed, right? You see all our PFPs and just anyone else who wants to support Fuzzy getting released, feel free somehow throw on an orange jumpsuit. But the 6-year delta of Elon saying that he can't say what his favorite meme is, but it involves a bear, happened on the same day that Fuzzy went, into jail, right? So, I mean, and then him saying, he who controls the memes controls the universe. It just shows how important they are, especially when you're starting to look at SpaceX launches and NASA and all of that. So memes are very important. So you're right about that.
Yeah, bro, you're right. And you keep remember me this sentence: to control the memes, control the words, which means we all are part of this journey together. And we are doing an incredible job. Fuzzy community on top, Teddy after, we are little brothers. There is my brother Fuzzy Claw. Hey, how are you? You want to say something?
Oscar, what's up, man? This is awesome. Thanks for hosting this space, bro. I thought you were going to respond. I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. NFA, what's up there, man? It's good to see you up here and kind of dropping some knowledge. And Just sharing it.
Little hour
And then also
live.
Raptor. Fitty, I never talked to you, but it's nice to meet you.
Nice to
And
meet
then,
you, brother.
dude, thanks, man. I'm sure we'll get to know each other.
Your teeth look familiar.
My teeth, the sabers.
Yeah, I think I have one. I think I have an NFT with that.
Hell yeah. Dude, you got to share your fuzzy NFTs with us.
I have like a few.
Your Teddy.
I have a Donald Trump one. I have a few.
Hell yeah. Dude, start paying close attention to fuzzy, man. It's heating up.
Dude,
pretty hot.
I've been doing spaces, and I've always been supportive with Fuzzy for. They've always been coming up. They've always been really cool for close to. I think it's been over a year. I think the first space I did with King on ETH, and who was the other guy I did it with? I don't remember. He's big in the space. They invited me in here with Moose. I think it was Moose, and they're like, "Did you know there's memes on XRP?" And maybe it was 2 years ago, and I'm like, "Really? Where?" I had no clue, like no clue. And then I got the lore. I have images of the castle, 589. I mean, I've been down the rabbit hole, so I'm definitely paying attention. And I talked to Jonathan, who's behind Oracle. He's the common bird. I talked to him probably more than anybody on the phone.
Dude, awesome, man. Yeah, I've never talked to Oracle either, and then King Kong, again, Mel. Dude, Mel's a freaking legend, just trying to help everybody and anybody. So much respect for you, Mel. Dude, you guys, I just want to come up and say hi and honestly share, because I told Oscar this before, and how do I'm just gonna say it, like when Teddy first came out, because everybody know, like it's fuzzy.
I gotta go, but I don't know if anybody's still in here watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I wanted to stay on because I wanted to get NFA. I wanted to get him talking, hearing, the stuff that he knows, and hearing Raptor, hearing Fuzzy, John, talking about the cards a little bit, and a little bit more of the lore, the tie-in. But if anybody's still here, cool. I appreciate you. If not, still appreciate you. Everybody have a nice day, night, morning, whatever it is. Peace.